Hello, I'm joined today by one of our instructors, Ashley Lyons, one good friend of mine that I've known for quite a while. How's it going, Ashley?
It's going great, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I wanted to give everyone a chance to meet you because you're teaching our upcoming materials class in September at the time of this recording, and probably going to be teaching again in the future as well. And I wanted to give people a chance to get to know you, and I just thought I'd ask you some questions and kind of like talk a little bit about effects for a bit. So
Yeah, sounds great.
yeah, a little bit about Ashley. You work at Gearbox, right? You're an effects lead up there?
Yes, yes. I am the lead at Gearbox Software. I was lead on Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Borderlands 4.
Nice. Love it. Talk to us about like how you ended up there. Like what was your journey through getting started to becoming a lead? I think that's like a dream job for a lot of people. Like, oh my gosh, like an artistic lead on a big major project like that. What does it take to get to that point?
That's a funny question because it's like looking back at my overall like VFX career and kind of getting into effects was I attribute it to like an accident actually because I went to school undergrad as a sculpture major, so like actual like legit gallery artist. Like I wanted to be a gallery artist. I wanted to build sculptures and things. And I took a class. This was so long ago. And I'm aging myself, but I took a class on 3D modeling because it was like sculpture adjacent, you know. And I really liked it, and it was fun. But I didn't really think much of it. Once I graduated, I ended up going to grad school because being a gallery artist really wasn't panning out the way I wanted it to be. So I saw a school it was an art school. So I was like, hey, let me go into graphic design, something like that. And when I applied, I accidentally checked the box for visual effects.
Oops.
Because I was just young and yeah, because I was young, I didn't really, I wasn't really like, my career was aimless. I was like, I just want to do something. I was like, I need to do something with my life. And the personnel of the school called me and they said, hey, so we see that you're signed up for visual effects. We just want to make sure that you got everything you need. And I was like, visual effects? Yeah, sure, let's do that. So I just was like, yeah, let's just go to grad school for visual effects. And when I got there, I really enjoyed it. And it just seemed to be something that I just naturally gravitated towards. And I was excelling in my classes and I was doing really well. And I was just doing like a lot of things that I really enjoyed, like simulations, liquid simulations, explosions, pyrosims. This was all based back in Maya stuff. So it was so I was kind of gearing up to go into film. And my first job was like at a company that did realistic renderings for brochures and advertisements and things like that. And I was making like effects for their animations essentially. And after a couple of years of that, eventually I saw a posting for game development. And I was like, hey, let me try that out. It was just like I've done this, let me go try this type of situation. So then I jumped into game dev, doing visual effects for video games. And that was another thing that I just said, wow, this is fun. This is amazing. I was like, I really like this too, because when you're working with games, real-time stuff was right away. It's like in your face. You can see you can update something and you get it live. Unlike with the pre-rendered stuff where you update something, wait 20 minutes for the sim to finish, then go, oh, that didn't work, so now I got to redo it, try it again. With the real-time stuff, it was right away. You input something, boom, you see it. Like I said, I gravitated towards that as well, and I just got to the point where I said, this is fun. I really like games. I play games myself, but it was never something that I had thought originally of, I am going to be a game developer. It just kind of gradually evolved into, I'm a visual effects artist. I went into games. I liked gaming, and then I became a real-time effects artist. And then with that career path and evolution, eventually got to the point where I applied to Gearbox. And because of my real-time rendering, not real-time, because of my simulation background, they were like, hey, we don't have a simulation guy. Let's bring you on. We can do some fluid sims, make some flip books for us, things like that. And eventually I was at Gearbox for about 4 or 5 years at that point, and that's when I was promoted to lead once, one Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was out, and then Borderlands 4 and so forth. And that's where I am right now.
Yeah, and I met you at GDC first, I believe. I think we'd also emailed at some point, because I know you had worked with Michel Gagne, implementing a bunch of his flip books on one of the projects at Gearbox. So
that was Battleborn.
For Battleborn. Just really crazy effects on that game. Like, oh my gosh, effects everywhere.
I love that. I love that project so much. Like, that was, I think to this day, hands down, still one of my favorite projects to work on.
It's funny what you said about, like, hey, they needed something very specific with like a simulations person. And that kind of is how it goes, right? Like, it's all about timing the right opportunity with the right skill set. Something I tell students a lot is like, hey, I mean, a lot of this is just kind of like stacking the odds in your favor, like getting skills that you're able to do at a high level that could catch the attention of a studio if they were in need of that skill set, right? And so
it's a very like strange and kind of luck of the draw situation sometimes, because back when before I was working at Gearbox, I would still consider myself junior at that time, because I was only in game development for like 2 years. And trying to look for my next position, like my next role, it was such a disheartening thing, because I was getting so many just rejection emails of, oh no, you're not what we're looking for, you're not what we're looking for. And then all of a sudden, Gearbox, this AAA studio comes to me and says, hey, you are what we're looking for. Come over, we want to hire you. So it was, it's very much just keep working at your skills, keep learning, keep updating your resume, keep updating your portfolio, because you never know. You might get to you just might find that one studio that is your perfect fit.
That's so true. I feel like it's just, you add the droplets of water to the bucket until finally it's just bound to spill over and do something big. And it can be hard, especially in the market like it is right now, in the job market, the way that it is with games. It can be daunting, but I think my advice to people is always like, look, there's the one thing that you can control, and that's your input of what you want to put in. We provide the community at VFXA. We have the Discord server. We have these classes that people can enroll in to connect with mentors like yourself, like myself, to come in and say, we got you, like, we'll support you on that journey, but you got to put in that time. I'm guessing during that time of your life, you were probably working your tail off. Yeah. You were probably really putting in a lot of hours to develop those skills, right?
Yeah, it was. Yes. Because when I first, before I went to Gearbox, I did not know Unreal at all. And when I was applying, because the studio that I worked at before, it was all proprietary software. So that didn't really translate too well, because it wasn't like Unreal. Since so many studios were asking for either like Unreal or Unity, my skill set did not translate over to to that software. So for months, I was just hitting up tutorials and going on YouTube and buying all those tutorial sets, and like, I need to learn this software. And I was just busting my butt trying to learn all this stuff. And then that's where it got to the point where eventually I was able to produce effects and produce things for my portfolio in Unreal. And that just added that extra level to it.
Yeah, that's so similar. I remember like spending a month in Houdini. I need to learn this for these projects that are coming up. Like, I just have to throw myself at it, Same with me, like when I was coming to Riot Games, it's like I wasn't as familiar in 3D effects software for games. And so I crash coursed myself into it, And I think remembering there is no magic solution. It's not just going to happen, but that's good news, because that means the hours working at it is the great equalizer. There's definitely soft skills that come into play, not going to lie, like doing well in interviews, that kind of thing. Is there anything in particular that you look for as a manager when you're interviewing people? Like, say there's like a rock star talent. Cool, that's great. They've got the skills in their portfolio. But then what are you watching for in the interview when you're talking with them?
That's a really good question, because when I, in the past, when I have interviewed people, yes, like the skills will take you to a certain level, but it's that age-old saying, if no one wants to work with you, then skills don't really matter, because I'd rather work with someone that I have a good working relationship with, I have a good flow with, someone that will, I guess, in a sense, not be an issue, versus someone who is just this rock star person that is just, conflicting every day and like doesn't want to do anything. Those soft skills, like you said, do matter, because at the end of the day, reputations will precede you, because this is a large industry, but it's also very small. Everyone will end up knowing you at some point or whatever. Like your reputation will get around of either being someone that's awesome to work with or someone that's a problem to work with. It will pass through, because GDC happens, people meet each other, people talk, and it just kind of, this is how things are. So if you're a great person to work with, then that is like a super, super just advantageous thing.
I know it's a pretty common practice for FX leads like us to just email each other, or even sometimes even text message each other, because we know each other that well, like across multiple studios. Hey, I'm interviewing so-and-so. Have you worked? I see that you worked at the same place. What do you think of them? Like, those messages
that has
happen.
happened before. Yeah. I've even been in situations where I've had friends of mine who have like either been laid off or looking for a job, and I've seen like a post on LinkedIn or something. I was like, hey, this person's looking for a job. Do you have any spots open? And then it's just like, just like that communication it's key.
And I think it's fine. Like, obviously, like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, oh, this person's amazing. Like, go for it. Because I do think, generally speaking, collaborative individuals that love the give and take, they love the feedback, they love working together, they last a long time. They do really well in this industry, I would say.
Like I said, if I enjoy working with someone, then it just makes going to work better. Even now that we're all like, with everyone being, well, not everyone, but most of the studios now are like remote. But this even harkens back when we were all in office, and you're spending 8+ hours a day with that person. It's like you want to enjoy being around them,
Oh, totally. So say they're just making a first impression. There's people out there watching this video, it's their first time interviewing. And what should they be watching for? What should they be trying for in the interview to try and make a good first impression? Say no one else in the industry knows about them yet. This is their debut opportunity to make a good impact. What would you say to them?
The age-old expression, just be yourself. Don't try to come across like you're trying too hard. It's one of those things that comes out as like, okay, this person is not genuine. If they're not genuine in this interview, are they not going to be genuine if we hire them? And I'd rather have someone be awkward as themselves, because at least I would know like, hey, this is their personality. This is that person. And I would understand your awkwardness, because we're all awkward. Like we're game developers for a reason. We spend 10 hours in front of a computer. The awkwardness it's a thing. But like I said, I would rather have someone be their awkward self than an ungenuine personality that will change if I hire them. And it's like, well, you weren't like this in your interview. You're different. It's just like I said, I would just prefer someone just to be themselves. Crack a couple jokes even if they're stupid. I like making stupid jokes.
Yeah, I think this is a whole craft in and of itself that's worth studying, in addition to the craft of effects. I think is like the art of the first impression. It's especially challenging, I think, for individuals who might be neurodivergent, or they might struggle with things like eye contact or awkwardness. I don't think that's a liability. I think people might be worried that that's going to be a liability, but then maybe they get a little too much in their own head. Just to reassure anyone who's out there, like, many of the most successful creative people that I've met have been neurodivergent, and they own it. and they're aware of it, and everyone around them is aware of it, and we love them for who they are and the talents that they bring to the team. And so I don't think it's like an automatic issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I would never hold that against someone if they were, neurodivergent or awkward, because it's like I said, we're all awkward. I mean, I sometimes have trouble with eye contact, where I'm not, like, if I'm meeting someone in person, and it's just I get awkward myself. I mean, I've actually not diving too deep into myself, but in the past, like, I've had to read books about how to act in front of people, like how to be personable, just because I was in. For GDC, things like that, where I'm going, okay, I'm going to be meeting people, or I'm going to be talking in front of hundreds of people. I'm giving this presentation. I need to not come across as, awkward, essentially. So, like, back in the day, I would read books and figure out, okay, here's how I need to present myself when I'm in front of all these people, so I can come across as confident and things like that.
I mean, it's, as I said, it's a craft, right? You can learn a craft.
Yeah.
You can improve on a craft. It may still be unnatural and uncomfortable, but you at least know the ins and outs. And even cracking a joke about that. Like, yeah, I just read a book on how to maintain eye contact because I'm no good at, that, just like talking, being open about that. Like, that's so refreshing in an interview, I think, to just, if the candidate is already breaking the ice, I have confidence that they're going to do well on the team, because it is such a highly collaborative thing to make a video game or a show or a movie. And it's very valuable to have the ability to just proactively put others at ease, because you're going to be needing things from these people, right? Like, whether that's mentorship or compromise or collaboration, like, they're going to be subconsciously wondering, do I want to help this person out? And, like, if you're just easing into that, I think, a little more comfortably, it makes them more excited to work with you.
Yeah.
At least from my
perspective. And actually, and you bring up a good point about the collaboration, because that is another key thing, especially when it comes to game development and working with the team, is you want to have that person who is not going to be combative, I guess you could say combative with their work, where you want to work with someone who's going to be collaborative, not someone who's going to work against you and look at you like, oh, you did something better than me, therefore I'm not going to share my knowledge with you. And I've only really met one person like that in my career, luckily, and they just were not really a pleasure to work with, because if they do something awesome and you're like, hey man, how'd you do that? My first expectation would be for them to say, here, let me show you, because I've done that as a lead, as a senior artist, even as a junior. If I make something awesome and my teammate comes to me and says, that's awesome, how did you do that? My first instinct is, I will show you, because if I give this skill to you, that is going to make you better as an artist, which is going to make the team better as an artist. The whole rising tide will lift all boats type of thing. It's like, so you don't want to have someone who's going to look at you as competition. Now, friendly competition, hey, that's awesome. I've been to the point with my team where I've looked at someone and said, hey, you just made something awesome. Now I want to make something awesome, because that awesome thing is now inspired me to make an awesome thing.
Right.
So, like, having that type of, like, friendly competition, I think is great. But the combative competition, that I believe will, like, ruin a team.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there's hints of that can come up from an interview. I think that's why it's so valuable for people to have the experience of working on a team, even if they're a student. That's something that we try to provide in our content, is like, you come together with a group, learning under a mentor, and you're like getting feedback and you're collaborating and sharing ideas among the students even. And you kind of get a chance to work those muscles before you're in a real production. Something I really believe in. I totally agree. It's been great. We're going to wrap it up with one last question. Thank you so much for being here today. If you could have a student in front of you, someone who is working their tail off, they're already doing what they need to do to, like, progress and grow, but they just haven't gotten their first foot in the industry, they don't have their first job yet, what would be your advice to that person?
My advice to that person would be to just keep applying. It is disheartening when you just receive rejection email after rejection email after rejection email, and I totally understand it. Even though, like, I've been at Gearbox for 12 years now, and I can still remember the time when I was applying for jobs back when I was a junior. And my advice to that student would be just the same advice I would give to myself, is just to keep applying, keep working on your portfolio, keep updating your skills, keep updating your resume, keep doing what you can to stay motivated. My parents used to tell me, hey, looking for a job is a job. It's a job in itself. You got to put in 8 hours a day looking for a job, or updating your resume, or updating those skill sets. Keep working through those tutorials, keep updating, what you can. It's just, like we had mentioned earlier, a lot of the times it's, luck of the draw of the studio just sees that you have the skill that they are looking for. And it may take some time. It may take years, it may take months, but you will find a job eventually. It's because it's a large industry, but it's also a small industry. Going to places like GDC, going to other conferences, going out to like game dev meetups, things like that, finding people, getting contacts, keeping those contacts, even, befriending people on LinkedIn and just saying, hey, I saw your work. Your work is awesome. Just wanted to say hi. Things like that. Just being nice to people is key, and just keeping those contacts, essentially.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And for anyone interested in learning from Ashley and our other instructors, head over to vfxapprentice.com. And yeah, we'll see you there on the inside. Okay. Take care.
All right. Hey, see you, man.